Hello, Facebook. How are you? Hi, Instagram. Hope you're well. Just coming on a little bit late. Apologies. For some reason, my computer wasn't working as it should. It's always tricky. So, hope you've had a good week. Hope you've had a good Monday. Happy Monday. Just coming on for some time just to talk about some strategies on how to move your music forward, hoping to add value to you and to help you along on your journey as an artist. My name is Abiagini. For those who may not know me, hopefully most of you do now who are on my page. Say hi if you're watching and please let me know who you are. Can you also please give StreamYard permission to let me know your name so I can know who's with me? And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments so I can get to them at some point during the live today. Okay, so I will crack on. Today, I just wanted to talk a little bit about getting your story right, framing your story so other people can find some common ground and relate to you. So essentially, you talking about your story is not just because you want to talk about yourself, but it's so other people can relate to you and follow along your journey. So a couple of things that you can do is talk about any firsts, talk about any times that you failed or any times that you found challenging, and talking about it a lot because essentially people will see you, relate with you, and like you, and that's what you want. And then you can then talk about your music or product and share it with them. So as we go on to talk about growing our audience, there's always this know, trust, and like, or know, like, and trust. People go through that pathway to then buy from you. So they must first know you, they must like you and trust you. And it can take a while to build that with your audience. But those are essentially things that we should be thinking about when we want to grow our audiences. One of the things that you might need to do is to consider doing regular broadcasts, going live regularly, which is what I am trying to do. And it's essentially just to relate to people, to add value to people, and to just get to know them better as well. All right. So I'm also going to be doing a podcast soon, and I will be essentially talking and referring to my podcast as I go along. So this should be interesting. Okay, so many of you may know me as a doctor, wife, singer, music business coach, and you may not, you might just think, oh, things are going really well, but actually it's been a journey. And if you had known me many years ago, in about 2006, there was a particular night that really changed the course of my life, and I think started me on this journey. And there are some lessons that I will try to extrapolate from this story as I go along. But essentially, I remember standing at the bus stop on this night, and I was in tears. I was crying, tears streaming down my face, not really caring about who was walking past or standing next to me waiting for the bus stop, and knowing that once the bus got there and once I got on the bus, I was walking away from my support system and the community that I had known for several years after I had moved from Nigeria to Dublin. And what had happened a couple of hours before that time standing at the bus stop was that I had gone to a midweek service in church, and I had been stood up by the pastor of the church and essentially publicly shamed in front of the congregation at that time. And he had said things like I was lying, I was a liar, I had done some things to lead youths astray in the church. I was lying to my parents, and he had just gone about to say a lot of things that I didn't really agree with and were essentially hurtful. And all of this was because I had gone for a singing competition, a Christian singing competition to encourage emerging artists at that time. And this was in Dublin. One of the meetings had coincided with the church meeting. So I hadn't gone for the meeting, and I don't remember what I had told them, but I knew that if I told them I was going for this event, they would not support me. I told my parents, and they were really excited about it. And they actually prayed for me and actually gave it as a prayer point at their local church. And they prayed that I won, because whoever won would have essentially taken €1,000 home and possibly gone on to maybe do a record, an album. So my parents knew about it. They were excited about it. But he had gone on to say that I was lying to my parents. They didn't know what I was doing. And I remember after that church service, I went to speak with him, and I said, so if I was an actual musician doing this, would this have been a problem as well? If I was an artist as my job, would I have not been allowed to go for an event like this? And he essentially had told me no. And he had said, there are apparently some rules of the church to stop me from doing some things without permission. So I was actually in medical school at this time, and I didn't actually even think I was going to do music as a career. But I think what was happening deep on the inside of me was that I wanted the option, and something on the inside of me was crying out to not let this passion go. So that night I walked away, and I essentially thought to myself that I did not want to stay in an environment where a gift that God had given me, I wasn't allowed to pursue it. And this was not the first time that was happening in that setting. I had tried to organize a concert, like a worship concert as well, a couple of months before that. And we had started to put together a band, pick out songs, and the pastor had stopped it. So there was a lot of no's for no good reason for people who were just passionate about their music. So I didn't want to stay in a place where someone would curtail my desire to go after my passion. And I knew that God had given me this. So I walked away. A couple of years after, or a while after, I met up with an emerging producer at the time as well. And I had written a song, and he produced it for me. And it was actually beautiful. I loved it. It was a great experience. But I didn't know what to do with it. I tried to put it out into the public and didn't really know how. And it just sat on my laptop. I must have sung it in church a couple of times. But I didn't know what to do with it. And I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a support system of artists and people that could point me in the right direction. So that was a win. But I still couldn't see how I could do music on the side and be in medical school as well. And over the years, I had just continued to sing in church and serve in church on the music team, because I thought this was definitely what God had planned for me, but I had the option of doing more if I wanted to. And COVID happened. And a lot of coaching and a lot of communities went online. And then lots of people went back to things they had been passionate about, or picked up new skills, or brushed up on old skills. So I went back to songwriting, I went back to voice training, and I joined a couple of challenges online, and it was really good. It was great. But there was a particular challenge that I joined, and it was by someone called Brad Goldemond. And he had brought together a couple of artists, well-known artists in the States. And he was calling people who had the desire in their hearts to write, to use their gifts, to use their music to bless the church, to use their music to encourage people to do more with their music. And he had essentially run Facebook ads and gathered people to come together to do a challenge, a 5-day challenge. And I remember attending that and just getting really excited. And something on the inside of me woke up. Something on the inside of me began to flourish, and something on the inside of me began to change. But I still thought, sure, I'll write a couple of songs and we'll see what happens with it. And I still didn't actually envision doing more with it and releasing it out into the world. Because I still thought, as a musician or an artist, you have to be this person who is able to tour. You should know how to do this. You should know how to do this. And a lot of things were just not on the card for me. So I just thought it was impossible. And it wasn't until one night when I had gone to bed and woken up in the middle of the night to use the loo. And within just that 5 minutes, or I don't know how long it was, a song essentially dropped into my spirit, and I ended up writing a song from start to finish in a very short time. And I thought it was a lovely song, and I was excited about it. And you know, when you do something you think is amazing, just the way a child does something. Maybe they do a work of art, they paint, they color. What do? They go show it to mom, to dad. They go show it to people, say, look what I did. And hi, Auntie Nebi. And I really was excited. I couldn't wait to share to people what God had dropped in my heart, the song that I had written. And then it all of a sudden occurred to me that, why was I getting excited? I didn't have any setup to share any songs whatsoever with anyone at all. And that's when it occurred to me that the reason why God was giving me these songs was not to keep to myself, but to share it with the world. And it was such a long, meandering journey to get there. But I finally did. And there will be so many stories of people who will watch this, and all our stories will be different. And we will have come to where we are through various means. But you're here now, you realize that you want to use this gift to bless the church, you want to use this gift to bless the world. It doesn't have to just be the church. And you want to do more with it. But you're not a typical artist. And you don't know where to start from. You have kids, and you think your kids should be your priority. You're married, you want to keep your family first, and you wonder where to even start. You might be a bit overwhelmed and not really know what to do. Well, let me tell you how I have come to where I am today. So after I realized all of this, I signed up to this group. It's called Kingdom Music Academy, and it's still going on. and we will have regular meetings where we'll meet on Zoom, and we could be coached by Brad himself or coached by many other people. We've been coached by Joel, who is a member of Maverick City Music. We've been coached by Mandisa. We've been coached by so many people. Ryan, what's his last name? Ryan as well has come on to talk to us. So it's been amazing. But also you have a community of artists who you get to know, who you get to become friends with over the months. We pray for each other, we speak over each other, we encourage each other to do more when we are feeling overwhelmed and when we're feeling scared. And when it was actually time to start working on my first album, I still didn't think, or I still wasn't certain that my songs were good enough. So I took it even further and signed up to a one-on-one song mentoring program, where I signed on to meet with a coach, songwriting coach, once a month. Submit 4 songs for reviews, and this is one-on-one reviews, so he's not going to worry that anyone is watching whether he likes the song or not, or if his feedbacks are too mean or not. All of that was just not an issue, because at the very start I told him, look, I want you to be honest. I want to know if my songs are good enough, because I'd rather know now that they need a lot of work than putting it out there in the public. So please don't hesitate to be truthful. And he was like, that's what I do. Some people sign on to my coaching program and actually come out of the program no longer artists. They actually realize that they're meant to be doing something else. So I'm like, okay, this sounds like something I want to do. And after the 6 months, I had grown in confidence. I had learned a lot of skills, and I was happy to go ahead to start working with a producer to release my songs. After that, I remember talking to him at the end of the 6 months and saying, look, I understand the process of songwriting. I even know what to do when I go to the studio, and how to create a wonderful sounding track. And probably I know how to release it now, but what next? What is next? And I signed on to a one-on-one music business coaching, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to release it and then do what? So it was another, 6 weeks or 6 meetings? And it was called Get Your Act Together. And a lot of insightful stuff learned. This was with Andy Baker, who is someone who also leads a community as well. So yeah, he talked me through how to set up the business and the various things I could do to keep releasing my music and to keep blessing people with my music. Thanks, Auntie Nabi. She just said, well done, dear. Wow. So essentially, I have learned over the last couple of years from several coaches. And it's been a journey. I'm still learning a lot, and there's still a lot that I'm actually yet to implement. But I've realized that this is going to be different for different artists. So I wanted to extrapolate a couple of lessons from this story. Number 1, no one should have the right to tell you what or who you can be, what your life can be. Only God and you has that power, has the right to actually set a vision, set goals for yourself. Because when I was learning, thankfully, I came across artists who had families, had little children, were working full time, and we're still having or doing music on the side. And I began to see that it was possible to be a doctor and a musician. I began to see that for myself, which is why I grew in confidence as well and learned from them how to do it. So regardless of who you are, where you are in life, you can have whatever kind of music business you want to have. It could be full-time, it could be part-time. You set the terms. It's up to you. You make up your mind and you go for it. You can have whatever kind of business you want. Many people think, oh, am I planning to leave doctoring to go into music full-time? Actually, that has never really been a goal of mine. I do enjoy being a doctor, and I do intend to continue to do it side by side. But that's me. You could be totally different. You might not really like what you do and you want to go into music full time. And the question you have to ask is, how do you do that successfully? Well, there are people who have done it. You just need to find them and learn from them. So it's up to you. You set your terms. You can do this. The second thing that I would like to extrapolate is that there's gonna be ups and downs. It's not going to be a walk in the park. It's gonna be hard work. There's gonna be times when you'll have to sacrifice, when you'll have to invest in yourself, when you'll have to let some things go and make some tough choices of, okay, I'm gonna have to cut down on my on spending money on this, take out, eating out. There's lots of things that you can pull back on if you actually just find the time to assess it. There are things that you can change. There are time-consuming things you can cut back on so you can make time for your music. It's hard work. That brings me to one of my values. It's persevering faith. So my branding is Ibiogini Music, bringing contagious joy and persevering faith. Persevering because you're going to have to keep going. Not everything is going to go your way at first. Not everything is going to have the intended results you were hoping for, but you're going to have to keep going because it gets better, it gets easier, and it's worth it. I had a challenge recently, and I remember talking through all the things you will have to do to build a thriving music business. Someone said, actually, Abby, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Because people get overwhelmed thinking of the future and all that they have to do. And I actually have a strategy to handle that. Overwhelm comes from when you worry about all the things you have to do in the future. If you just focus on now, what you're doing now, that overwhelm disappears. You have a long list of things to do, that's fine. Prioritize, just pick your top 5 or top 7, and the rest of them, let them go and just walk down the list of those things. Work on one thing at a time, and that overwhelm will be gone. So persevering faith, meaning there is someone who has set this all in motion, and he has a plan and purpose, and through all of the busyness and the hard work and the perseverance and the disappointments, through all of it, he's working out this purpose for us. And his promise to us is that he has good plans for us. A good plan for us. So my faith in a God who is bigger than all of this and who has the power to steer things in my favor, that faith keeps me going and can keep you going. So persevering faith is one of my values. It weaves through a lot of what I do. I didn't want to come on here tonight. I've had a busy week, and I was having a migraine, feeling a migraine come on. I'm exhausted. But this is one of the reasons why I went online and said, I'm going to be doing going live every Monday, because I knew that saying it will make me commit and show up when I felt like or not. And if I want to do a podcast, I'm going to have to go on regularly, whether I feel like it or not. So this keeps me going, persevering faith. And what's my other value? Contagious joy. I'm hoping to just spread joy wherever I go. I have conversation with guests, and there's a lot of laughter, because that's just who I am. I'm hoping to leave you smiling, leave you lighter than you were when you joined me, when you started listening to the podcast. That is the whole plan. Leave you feeling lighter, more peaceful, more joyous on the inside when you hear my songs, when you leave my concerts, when you read a book, when I eventually release a book. But those are my two values: persevering faith and contagious joy. And you, when you have these values, the things that are really important to you, and you're able to weave them into your story, and you're able to weave them into your songs that you release, they really go a long way in helping you market your story, your songs, your products. Yeah. Keep going. You're still creating content, and many will watch later. Yes, thanks, Auntie. Okay, so many of you might be in the middle of my story, where you're still alone. You still need you still feel alone. I remember talking to someone recently who said even recently she was still feeling very much alone in her music journey. She was hungry for a community, people that will be supportive, people that will walk with her through the different seasons of her career, and just hang in there. It might be that you reach out, you go online, you join communities, and you pray that you are able to, meet people that will be supportive. Like, honestly, I've been in 2 connect groups in KMA, where, because they put us in small groups of about 4 or 5, and we meet every 2 weeks. And these groups, some of them are not even in the community anymore, but we've kept in touch. We get together on Facebook Messenger or Zoom. We pray for each other. We are one of the first people to listen to our new songs, new singles. Sometimes we listen and give tips before we actually even release them. There is power in community. So if you're in that middle phase where you have a song and you don't know what to do, hang in there. You will get to the point where you feel you've arrived in a spacious place filled with all the support you need. And know that you will need to invest. You will need a lot of the trainings I received that got me to where I am today came because I was willing to spend my hard-earned money. I didn't think of it as a waste. I thought of it as an investment in myself, because I am a rich soil for planting. And because I'm a rich soil, I know that I will produce a harvest in time. That's how you have to start thinking of yourself. You are a rich soil to plant in, and you will produce a harvest. So don't think of it as waste. Sometimes it's a struggle, knowing that, should I spend this on groceries for the kids? Or should I spend this on my music? But remember that when you step into that harvest, they will benefit as well. And your vision should also be shared by your family, because when you're making sacrifices, they will end up making those same sacrifices. So get them on board, tell them what you're planning, and take them along with you on this journey. Any questions? I'm going to start to wrap up now. Thank you so much, Auntie. Off you go. Take care. Bye. Any questions from anyone listening so far? I've talked about all of us having stories and how you can tell your story. Most of us will have an early stage where we might have felt some kind of loss. We might have had a middle phase where we were in a better place, but we're still not winning. Or you can call it a false win. And then all of us will eventually end up in a spacious place where we are thriving. And we can weave these stories into our products, your song, your branding, your message, your vision for your community that you are raising, for your audience that you're putting together. You can weave all of that into it. And that is a great way to market what God is doing. The vision God has given you, that is a great way to do it. Okay, so hit me up below. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if that has blessed you. If you found that valuable at all, let me know. I'm going to head off now till next week, same time, 8:30. I will set up my tech much earlier. All right, take care, y'all. Take care. Bye. Have a good night.